Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, otherwise known as the Villain Club. All right, and why are we called the Villain Club? All right, so being that we're the Villain Club, it's about anything and everything, uncuffed, unscripted, telling it like it is. And I know that we all think alike. All right, that's just what it is. I can speak for you, and that's what I'm here for. All right, and there's just a lot of bullshit going on, so I always like to talk about the bullshit that goes on throughout the world, and mainly here in the United States because it's where we live, and that's where it's at. So, um, and I cover a lot of different things, as you can see. When it comes to things like this stuff here with Trump or gas prices, or I even do stories like cars, hurricanes, uh, police stuff, right? All kinds of stuff. I talk about a lot of things, migrant crisis, you name it. I just cover whatever it is that just comes to mind, bothers me, whatever, and this happened over the weekend, just the other day here, as I guess rather than show up at the Al Smith dinner event where she should be showing up to, because it's in New York, it's a Democrat stronghold, it's a traditional thing amongst the presidential nominees, especially, right? And with that, so something else went on at a rally here. So let's go see what she says here, right? Because this is gonna be connected to why she didn't show up to the Al Smith dinner, which is notably a Catholic diocese, and it goes to charity and things like that. So it's a big deal, right? Especially to Catholics, and Catholics supposedly support Democrats. I don't know why, because Democrats don't care about people and religion and all that stuff. So this is connected to that, all right, and that's a hint. So let's check this out right here, and let me know what you think about this right here.
Because ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. For freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Well, here's a little side note here, all right? If Trump says we're not going to get federal government involved, we'll leave it up to the states, isn't that kind of like just leaving it up to the states on what to do? And so it really debunks what she's saying here, all right? I'm just saying. Think about that for a moment, all right? Let's go on here.
Again, we're not going to be gaslighted on this. We remember Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended.
And left it up to the state.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Alright, so she gets heckled a lot at these rallies, right? And if you don't know what was yelled at, it's being said that what was yelled at this particular rally is someone shouted, "Jesus is Lord," right? So then that's how she responded with, "Oh, then you're at the wrong rally here. That you're going the smaller one down the road." So 2 things from that. All right, one is that's insulting to anybody religious, right? because that kind of spits you in the face of anybody religious when you take into account what was said, Jesus is Lord, and then she just says, "Oh, you're at the wrong rally," and kind of poking fun at it and trying to kick him down the road. Two, number two is that Kamala is just Kamala. She's stupid, right? So being that she's stupid, she's just reacting to hecklers without really thinking about what she's truly saying. Because if you think about what she's truly saying, she's insulting them, but she's not really thinking about it. She's just responding to being heckled, right? Because that's what people do when you get heckled by people, right? You get bothered and you're trying to do something. What do? You say something, smart, witty, whatever it is, right? Just to respond back. All right. That's also acknowledging that you heard them. So, being that she's dumb and she doesn't think, that's what happened there, and you know, so she just responded to being heckled, right? Some people say the wrong thing. Some people, say a witty line to counter that, but at the same time, it's just you're laughing at a Christian protester, and that just goes right along the line of how she no-showed the Alsmith dinner. All right, so that just shows you she doesn't care about religion in America, right? And so anybody that's religious shouldn't be supporting the Democrats because they don't care about you. Obviously, I mean, because if she does act like she cares, it's an act that she cares. But obviously, she doesn't care, and that's why she responded as such. She didn't show up to the Al Smith dinner, and that to me shows you a sign about what she thinks about people of religion. All right, so that's just my thought on that. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's just so obvious to me that that's the message she is sending, right? Because abortion is a touchy issue. I get it, right? It's a touchy issue. My mom had an abortion. I didn't even know. She told me because I actually did a research paper on abortion in high school a long time ago. So I know about the subject, and I actually interviewed my mom because I just happened to ask my mom if she knew anything about abortion, and she said she actually had one. And I was like, oh shit. And so, and they come to find out one of my best friends at the time, his mom actually had an abortion as well. So I was just like, damn. So it really helped on my research paper, which I got an A on. But at the same time, it helped me learn about abortion in itself, right? And Roe v. Wade was a federal thing, but it wasn't really legislation, right, in a sense, right? It was just a ruling. And since it was relooked at, some odd, 30 years later, 35 years later, whatever, since it, 35? No, 40 years later. 40, yeah, about 40 years. We'll say 35 to 40 years later, right? From Roe v. Wade. It was like in the 70s or whatever. And then we're like 30 years later, huh? 35. We'll go with 35 years, all right? 35 years. Let's see, 35. Yeah, well, I'll go with that. So, it was relooked at, and it was like, well, there's really nothing federal legislation-wise about it. So that's the reason why it was struck down in a sense, because there's really no official law or legislation about it. It was just more of a ruling, and it was just kind of left up in the air the whole time, all these years. And so, going back, to what she wants to do, she wants to reestablish it federally, which goes against what she's saying about we don't need government, whatever. What did she say? We don't need government for whatever. Let's hear that again.
like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and
Yeah.
not have her government tell her what to do.
So isn't that contradicting that you're trying to get government to tell us what to do? Right? You don't need a law from federal government to say this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, because that's what she's trying to do, is have the government tell you what to do. So that's why Trump just said, we don't need to bother with this shit. Let's just leave it up to the state. And each state has their own way of going about things and doing things and how they view about life and all that. That I don't see anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. I really don't. All right, and I just I look at we got other things to worry about, and it's what's wrong with having a 50 state decision what they want to do to each of its own, right? And so that I don't know, that's just to me like like I don't see anything wrong with that. We have other things to worry about federally. You know what I'm saying? That we don't need to worry about that stuff. So it's funny how it is that as contradicting, and it goes along the lines of her contradictions in life and her values. She always will say she always will maintain her values, right? Oh, I have my values. I have my values. But everything else that's in contradiction of what she's saying now to what she said then, but what she's really trying to tell you that her values haven't changed. Well, that's what it is, right? So when she says no fracking, but now she says she's open to that, I don't believe it. All right. The contradiction of this abortion thing I just told you now. We don't need federal government to tell us what to do, but then she really does. Right. So another contradiction. You look at oddly taxes on tips. That's more of a copycat thing. Taxes on tips or no taxes on tips, right? And then when you look at other things, right? The contradiction of wants an open border to, oh, we have the toughest laws in the books and we're going to sign their border security bill and all that, which still allows the border to be open, right? So it's kind of a contradiction in itself that you're trying to secure the border, but yet you're allowing people to come in the border, give them amnesty, give them everything, right? It's dangerous. It's bad. It's really bad. And then when you look at, let's see what else is there. She did mention about a border wall, and I think that's more of pandering. So again, it's a contradiction because she's against border walls in the first place. Her values haven't changed, all right? Remember that. So when you look at those things, and then what else does she want to do in America, right? She wants to increase corporate tax, right? Increase corporate tax. It's already high, pretty high as it is, right? And she wants to increase it, so you're driving business out of the United States to other countries, right? So that's another thing. What else is there? Capital gains tax. Think about that. Capital gains tax. Anybody could get fucked for gaining, right? So what's the point of going into stocks? What's the point of investing if you're going to get fucked over by capital gains tax, right? I mean, she wants to raise it to where it's nearly half of your gain. I mean, and then how do you get, and then think about that. What if you're in a down year? You're not going to get nothing back. So it's just going to continue to eat away and eat away and eat away at everything, right? So yeah, her values haven't changed. She's all about taxing, taxing, taxing. Just like Democrats. Democrats love to tax, right? They always claim to say they're taxing the rich. All right, oh man, we're going to go after the, whatever, right? Think about it for a second. Here's another analogy of their idea of what they think taxing is, because they really have no idea, right? They just think that, oh, they should get their fair share. And this is a great example of Dems being stupid and don't understand that everybody pays the same. It just depends on what level of income you have. So let's hear this again.
The wealthy should pay their fair share.
Yes, wealthy should pay their fair share.
What is a fair share? What percentage?
So you're saying that you're saying that they're paying their fair share is what you're saying.
No, I'm asking what percentage is a fair share?
Their fair share, the same, if a third of my money is going to taxes, then I think a third of their money should be going to taxes. Well, it does.
It does, yeah.
I'm trying to understand because you realize the effective tax rate on the poor is less than it is on the rich, right?
Okay, so first of all, I'm
too
not
much,
the poor.
there's too much thinking for
I'm very close to that line, but I'm not the poor.
Okay, so the effective tax rate on the middle class is less than it is on the rich, correct? What fair share would you like to change the tax rate to on the wealthiest what percentage of Americans so it's a fair share?
So let's say the wealthy 1% could pay, let's say if they paid, let's just give them 45%.
How ridiculous is that? All right? So her idea got blown up in her face, and because everybody pays their fair share, right? If I pay 30% and the billionaire pays 30%, well, 30% of my, let's just say, $100,000, all right, is the same as the billionaire that's going to pay 30% out of $1 billion, right? So everybody pays what they're supposed to pay. So it doesn't make any sense, right? But obviously they're trying to target the rich, which is technically the Dems because they're the elites. But when you see that, though, they're trying to, it'll be spun to where everybody else is paying for it anyways. Look in California, for example, right? It is democratically controlled, yet we're the highest in everything in the nation when it comes to taxes, prices, you name it, right? Electricity, everything is higher than the rest of the nation. Why? Well, because the cost of living is higher. The inflation is, I think, is higher than the rest of the United States. But when you really look at it, though, you look at why, though. Why is that? Because they're all about taxing. You look at the proposition measures, which I'll probably talk about in another video, on what's on the ballot, right? It's all about bonds and fees, right? They're trying to put on the ballot, which I voted no on every one of them, But it's funny how that is, right? That they're trying to use it. And we know what bonds is? It's just a tax, all right? But in a nicer word. And how's it paid back? Well, it's like a loan because it's paid over 30 years, right? So you're giving it to the next generation to pay back. So if this governor is one of the worst ever, but can't recall him because the elites dominate the vote, right? And dumb Democrats, all right, dominate the vote. You can't recall him, you can't boot him out. All you can do is just vote him out, which won't be for another 2 years. The thing about it is that they're all about making you pay for everything. And that's why we're the highest in everything, because that's what they're doing. And then they want to blame the Republicans. They want to blame the government. They want to, everything else, right? They want to blame the oil company. They want to blame the markets for price gouging, right? But it's the government in itself, the democratically run government itself. All right? If you're not the elite, you're going to be the one paying for it. And that's what we're all doing. So think about that for a minute, But anyhow, I just wanted to share with you guys how this is what Kamala truly thinks about people of religion. And it goes along the lines of what Democrats are, right? they're almost radicals, right? They're progressive, liberal, whereas conservatives, yeah, they're, if when you look at conservatives, for example, yeah, they're a lot more religious faith on the conservative side of things, whereas Democrats and liberals and progressives and all that, they don't care about that, right? They care about tranny rights, they care about tranny surgeries, tranny this, tranny that, right? They care about all kinds of bullshit that we shouldn't even be worried about, right? If you want to do something about that when you're an adult, yeah, okay, take care of it when you're an adult, but don't trickle it down to school kids and let it seep into their mind into thinking that it's okay, or encourage it when you're still trying to find yourself. You're trying to discover who you are and what you are and where you're trying to be. And so that to me is something that, again, if you are struggling with that, to me that's kind of a mental status that should be checked out, right? And so rather than try to encourage something that maybe they're not being, but you're trying to push that, doesn't make you any better when you're trying to do that. But how about maybe look at how it is. It's funny because when you look at law enforcement, all right, law enforcement makes up an excuse. Well, on the psychological side of things, right, the mental capacity of a brain. So they always say that when it comes to brain development, all right, because I know I've read the research, I've worked with the research, and they say, oh well, brain development doesn't fully develop to your age 25. So that's how they justify, youth incarcerated offenders, right? The ones that are under 18, especially that commit adult heinous crimes, right? And they try to justify that by lack of brain development, and you're not fully developed to your age 25, so you're not really fully grown yet, in a sense. I mean, it's like, well, that's pretty stupid, because when you look at that, um, you know, how can people graduate from college at 22? I graduated from college at 22. I was responsible enough to pay off my loan 2 years after that. That makes me 24. Working hard, saving money, paying down the principal, and paid off my school loan in 2 years. So no handout bullshit, right? Now, we're going to use that stupid ass theory and apply that to these school age kids, that if it's lack of brain development, then why are you trying to have them, encourage them to do something maybe they're just not really thinking of doing, but you're pushing it just because they're questioning themselves, right? Or hormone replacement and all that, under 18 years old type of stuff, right? You know what I mean? So that we could probably go deeper into this subject matter on another video as well. But at the same time, I'm just saying, like, I don't see how Democrats should be supported by any religious faith, even Catholics, if that's what they're all about. They're all about these stupid progressive agendas that are not faith-based, and they don't care about you. And obvious, that was the message that she was sending when she didn't show up to the Al Smith dinner. She didn't show up, and you'll see that she's not going to show up to these things. And then, of course, spit in the face of the protesters in this way, right? Whether she knowingly did it or not, because she is pretty stupid. That's what I think about all this stuff. Yeah, so let me know what you think about this, right? So a lot of things we covered here, but when you think about it, looking at the bigger picture, Democrats don't care about faith, all right? So she proved it. Comment down below, let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit the bell icon as I do daily content, and I'll see you next one.